Reg, how are you this morning?
Man, oh man, was that exciting last night. Steve Harvey right now is doing jumping jacks. He's off the hook. Steve Harvey's off the hook. Yes. Oh, yes, Steve Harvey's off the hook. Can I just say one thing? It was the biggest flub, obviously, ever, and on the biggest stage. But this is what I'm happy about. Could you imagine if Warren Beatty would have said, and the best picture goes to Moonlight, and then the flub happened, and they would have gave it to La La Land? What if it would have been flipped, and Moonlight originally had won, but then they gave it to La La Land? Could you imagine Taraji P. Henson would have stormed the stage, and it would have been on? I mean, it's still hurtful. Don't get me wrong. But what if it had been flip-flopped? What if Moonlight originally had won, and La La Land was the real winner? Could you imagine? Seriously, could you imagine? Especially after last year's Oscars So White. You know, African Americans are not getting any love at the Oscars, and then that would have happened. Holy Moses!
That would have been, well, it was already an awkward moment. That would have been a really, really awkward moment.
Oh, my goodness, yes.
Well,
But here's the thing, though. Emma Stone says she still had her card of winning Best Actress, correct?
Yeah.
She's gone on the record to say that. So then what is Warren Beatty talking about when he opens it up and says, I see Emma Stone and La La Land?
there are two
Something's
cards.
not adding up.
No, there's two cards for every award.
And he just picked up the second card of Best Actress?
Somebody on that side of the stage probably had the leftover card for Emma Stone and gave him the wrong card, and nobody checked it. And I think that that's what happened.
I'm not rolling with that. No.
What's the movie that changed your life? Did you ever have one of those where it really affected you?
Oh, affected me in what kind of way?
Well, positive or negative. I came out of Jaws and didn't go swimming in the ocean for years.
Oh, that's a good one.
Fatal Attraction. Fatal Attraction affected me a little bit, too.
Well, I tell you what, for every guy, Fatal Attraction is the movie. It's the one movie you never wanted to go take your girl to see, right?
Yeah.
Because she was always looking at you at the corner of her eyes like, okay, so is this what's going on when I'm gone? So I would probably say Fatal Attraction for most men is the one movie that probably changed our behavior.
I just made sure I didn't own a rabbit. That's the first step. Just don't buy a rabbit there.
Good point.
All right, let me dive into some hoops here.
Sure.
Lonzo Ball at UCLA, and his dad has come out and he's made a few comments that he thinks Lonzo is going to be better than Steph Curry. And there's nothing wrong with your father showing support and love, but it feels like he's adding more pressure on Lonzo Ball.
Oh, there's a bullseye.
Okay.
First of all, there was already a huge bullseye on all the Ball kids. LaMelo goes for 92.
Yeah.
And, Pops is out here saying his kids, now I'm not sure this is confirmed, that Lonzo will only play for the Lakers. And then you come out and say he's better than Steph Curry. Number one, first of all, win Pac-12 Player of the Year first before you start attacking the two-time MVP.
Is he the best player in the Pac-12?
Oh, there's a kid up in Washington that's pretty good, too. That's a freshman, Markelle Fultz.
Yeah, and you got Brooks at Oregon.
And you got Brooks at Oregon.
You got
he's certainly in consideration for being the best player. Look, T.J. Leaf's got to get some votes as well.
Well, you got the big kid at Arizona.
Look, I'm just going to say this. I love the support, and that's what a dad is supposed to do. But when you start comparing him to known, quality, like Steph Curry, who's a two-time MVP and has done so much in the league already, people are already going to hate because of, he's so successful at UCLA. But now you're adding more pressure to his son. Maybe his son is up to the challenge. But if you're Pops, you've just got to be careful because there's going to be guys, as soon as he takes that next step at that next level, and be like, oh, okay, so you think you're Steph? You think you're the next Jason Kidd? All right. You don't think Russell Westbrook You don't think Chris Paul, you don't think Kyrie Irving, you don't think these guys are like, kind of biting at the chops to get after this young man?
But do you think what you've seen, how good is Lonzo Ball?
It's hard to tell in the college game. He's a great college player now, and certainly for a freshman and to have that type of success at a young age, but it's so hard because every time you watch a college game, there may be one NBA talent player on the floor at one time. When you go to the next level, you're going against 12 All-Americans. You're going against 12 Player of the Years. So it's different. It's hard for me to gauge college players because of the talent level that's on the floor at that particular time. He's good. I think he's obviously going to be a top 5 pick. Will he be the number 1 pick? Certainly he has that capability of doing that, but it's hard to gauge. So let's look at our last draft. Who's been that successful, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Ben Simmons hasn't even played this year and will not play this year.
And I like what I saw from Ben Simmons at LSU more than I did Lonzo Ball. Not to say that Lonzo Ball's not going to be successful. I thought Simmons, was able to go inside. I thought he's not as good a shooter as Ball, but I saw more of a diversification with Simmons. He could go inside, bigger, but, until he gets on the floor with the Sixers, we're not quite sure how to assess him on the pro level.
Again, Mr. Ball, there is nothing wrong with boosting your son and putting him on a pedestal. I get that, and that's what fathers are supposed to do. But you got to be careful with some of your comments. When you compare him to a Steph Curry, a guy that's accomplished, who has won 2 MVPs at the highest level and has a championship under his belt and has been to the finals 2 times in a row, and your son is still, there's so many more chapters to be written on this young man's career. You just have to be careful. I know he has confidence in all his sons.
Oh, boy.
But just be careful. Just be careful what you say.
Reg will be calling the Thunder at the Blazers coming up Thursday night at 10:30 Eastern on TNT. All right, a couple of things here. Shaq and JaVale McGee.
Oh, jeez.
Help me understand this, Reg, that Shaq has made it personal, and it really feels like Shaq was bullying JaVale McGee. What's your take from this?
To a certain degree, but here's the thing. Shaqtin' the Fool has been on TNT since Shaq has gotten to our network.
Yeah.
And it runs every week, and it makes fun of everyone, just not JaVale. It just so happens JaVale has a lot of highlights. Shaq took it personal when JaVale called him, "Stop cooning, for your bosses." That's a low blow from JaVale, but I think JaVale was fed up. And look, from my knowledge, from most 7-footers, they are all sensitive. Shaq, being the biggest man on the planet, as strong and as big as he is, he has a very sensitive side. If he feels like he's being attacked, he is going to go on the offense. Same way that's how he played basketball. And he took it personal, and he kind of crossed the line a little bit. But so did JaVale. I like the comments by his mom coming out and coming to his defense. I'm not quite sure you want your mom coming out and coming to your defense as a pro player, but because I have love for Pam McGee, and I've known her for so many years, and she played with Cheryl at USC, I can understand where she's come from. She's sticking up for her son. I'm glad that Mama O'Neal got involved and told Shaq, cut it out. Enough is enough. And hopefully this is now water under the bridge. But I think both sides acted immature. 2 7-footers who are very sensitive. JaVale McGee, who is now a key player on a championship potential team and is playing up to his potential finally. And I think Shaq just needs to let it go.
Dan Le Batard had some comments about Magic Johnson where he was questioning, hiring Magic Johnson. Now, he has questioned other people getting jobs. John Lynch with the San Francisco 49ers as their GM, or Phil Jackson with the New York Knicks. But it seemed to take a different turn there where, Keyshawn Johnson on his radio show talked about, is this racial? Shouldn't we question? Well, I know it's Magic Johnson and, the sacred cow here, but anybody, any star who gets, whether it's Kevin McHale or Larry Bird or Magic Johnson or Michael Jordan, shouldn't we, if you got the job in the front office with the Pacers now, shouldn't we question whether are you the right person to run the front office for the Pacers?
100%. Absolutely. And I think this is another part of why Magic signed up. He understands he's not going to be Teflon because now everything will be on you. Before it was on Jim Buss and Mitch Kupchak. Well, now that you've come in and cleaned house, now the clock starts to tick.
Yeah.
So absolutely Magic Johnson's on the clock, and he should be criticized for his moves going forward. I don't think there was a racial component to it because, Larry Bird has taken his hits in Indiana. Kevin McHale, we saw what happened in Minnesota and Houston. So for all great players that sign up for that to be in front of the firing lines when you take on that type of position of president, Michael Jordan took the hits in Washington, and Charles Barkley was critical of him. So you sign up for that, and, that's a part of it. I think it's fair game. It's easy for us to sit on the sidelines and, throw darts, but, Magic wanted to get back in the game, and his first order of business. And you know what? Let's just say this. Mitch Kupchak did a lot of great things for the Lakers, but it was time for a change. He was responsible for 2 championships, so let's give him credit. But if you look at the success of the Lakers over the last 5 years, it has not been there. It was stale management, and Jeannie Buss understood that, and she brought in the face of Laker Nation, the most beloved player arguably in the history of the franchise in Magic Johnson. So he cleaned house, but Magic's on the clock now. So let's judge him going forward as opposed to saying he's a bad hire. You can't say he's a bad hire until we see some of the results.
I'll leave you with this. I made a bet with Barkley. I said that I'll take the Pelicans as the number 8 seed against Golden State in the opening round, and Charles laughed, and I said, would you give me a car if I won that bet? And he said he would give me a Kia, and he would take the Danettes out for a steak dinner.
Wait, hold on. What do you mean, like that Pelicans would beat the Golden State Warriors?
Yeah.
Are you serious, Dan?
Well, I
love you. I love you to death.
I had to get some long odds here, and I figured that, my pals with, Boogie and Anthony Davis, and that's a different matchup for Golden State, and, maybe they could shock the world.
I will say this.
Guessing you're not.
Two of the best big men in the game, but they need someone to get them the ball, first of all.
That's true.
And if Holiday has to stay healthy, which he has shown that he has not, and he has to play big in big moments in the playoffs, which he has shown that he hasn't. So, can I get in on that, Dan? That's very unlike you. You usually are pretty good at your bets.
Yeah, I know.
This is not a good one for you.
I know. Well, I only have to take him out for a steak dinner.
Whereas you're getting a Kia.
Yeah. Yeah, so I get a steak dinner for the Danettes and a Kia, and Charles just gets a steak dinner.
Well, I will say this. That will arguably be the biggest 1-8 upset probably in the history of the game. That probably trumps, what was that, Dallas or Golden State to beat Dallas?
Well, didn't Denver with Dikembe?
Denver beating Seattle, yes. But that was a best of 5. This would be a best of 7.
Yeah.
Where really cream, absolute. You're right now, I want everyone to listen to this. You're saying that New Orleans would win 4 games. That's what you're saying. 4 games.
4 games, and I get a Kia. Okay, I mean, I had
4 games. I don't know if they can win 4 games in a month, let alone 4 games versus Golden State.
That kind of insight will be on display Thursday night at 10:30 Eastern on AT&T. Thunder and the Blazers. Safe travels, Reg.
You're the best, Theodore.
Thanks, bud.
The Dan Patrick Show, weekday mornings on Audience.